It was late on a cold, rainy night when Ahmed finally stepped inside his modest little home, a cramped two-room apartment in a rundown neighborhood, with peeling paint, a creaking door, and the dull hum of a ceiling fan he could barely afford to run. The single desk lamp in the corner was his only companion, casting long shadows against the bare walls. His hands, calloused from years of labor at the local factory, shook slightly from exhaustion as he removed his drenched coat. For months, he had carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, not just his own survival, but that of his only daughter, Sarah. She was 12, bright-eyed, and full of dreams, but dreams alone didn't put food on the table. Ahmed had lost his wife years ago, and since then the burden of parenthood had fallen on him alone. He worked 2 shifts a day, sometimes 3, to pay rent, buy basic groceries, and keep Sarah in school. Still, there were nights when they skipped a meal, and nights when Sarah slept hungry, but never silent. She would whisper stories of a better tomorrow, painting promises with crayons on scrap paper. On this particular night, around 11:15 p.m., a faint knock came at the door. It was sharp. Surprising, there shouldn't be anyone visiting at this hour. Ahmed frowned, wiping his hands on a rag, his only rag, and walked to the door slowly. As he peered through the peephole, a girl stood drenched like the walls of his apartment, soaked from rain, hair plastered to her cheeks, eyes wide and desperate. She looked as though the night itself had swallowed her, leaving only the silhouette of fear and pleading. "Please," she whispered, barely audible over the drumming rain. "Please. I've nowhere else to go." Ahmed hesitated. His heart twisted. On one hand, this was danger. This was maybe trouble. On the other hand, the memory of his wife, long gone, her promise to always help others, flickered. And Sarah. He thought of Sarah being taught kindness, compassion. He thought of that small lesson he had promised to pass on, that be good lesson. He swallowed hard. "Come in," he said. "Just for tonight." The door creaked open, and the damp stranger stepped inside. She held a small bag, and she shivered. Ahmed gave her the only blanket they had, a thin, worn-out white sheet. He offered her water, the cold tap running, and she sipped carefully, looking around as though fearful the walls themselves might judge her. She introduced herself as Lena. Her voice was soft, and there was an accent, not of this neighborhood, not of this world. She told him she had nowhere else to go. She said some men had threatened her outside the city, and she had run. She had meant to catch a bus, but the rain destroyed her plan. She apologized profusely for disturbing him, but he assured her, "You don't disturb, you're safe." He gave her the mattress Sarah slept on, and he settled himself on the threadbare rug beside the wall. Lena lay curled on the thin mattress, silent. The only sound was the rain tapping on the roof. Ahmed tried to sleep, but he couldn't. His mind whirled with worry. Who was she? How can a single poor man know? And what if she brought trouble? He glanced occasionally at the door, checking the locks. He thought of paying his rent, unpaid for weeks. He thought of groceries undone. He thought of the factory wage that never stretched far enough. He thought of leaving her outside in the storm. Could he do that? His conscience said no. His fear said yes. But compassion won. Morning came slow. The rain had subsided, leaving mist dancing in the narrow alleys outside. Ahmed woke first, early, before dawn. Lena was gone. Panic burst open inside him like a wound. He rushed to the door. Outside, no trace. Tiles damp, footprints washed away, only the memory of wet air, and the quiet emptiness. He returned inside, relieved that nothing appeared stolen. He shook off the fear, telling himself maybe she just didn't want to risk overstaying. He worried, but for a fleeting moment, until a soft knock arrived again. This time, 2 suited men were at the door. Their demeanor was firm, quiet, solemn. They flashed cards, plain cards with an emblem, words too small for him to read from the door's peephole. "Are you Mr. Ahmed?" one of them asked. He nodded, uneasy. "May we come in?" They entered, politely but with purpose. There was another car outside, black, tinted windows. The men sat down, looked around, then finally asked, "You hosted a young woman last night?" Name of Lena. Ahmed's heart pounded. His throat went dry. Yes, sir." They exchanged silent glances. Then, did she mention anything about her family, where she came from, who she was? Ahmed shook his head. No. She was scared. Rude men near the station, rain, begged for shelter. I couldn't leave her outside. The men scribbled something on a pad. Nothing more, they left without explanation. The black car rolled away. Ahmed stood at the door long after they left, heart heavy, thoughts racing. Days passed. Nothing, no call, no visit. Rent remained unpaid. Groceries remained sparse. Yet something changed. A small envelope slipped under his door one morning. Inside, money. Enough to pay months of rent, overdue bills, and maybe even keep food for his daughter for some time. No signature. No note. Just a silent promise. He stared at those green notes, trembling. He thought of Lena. He thought of her desperation, and felt a surge of hope. Maybe she was safe. Maybe he had done right. Weeks later, his phone rang. A woman's voice. Calm, confident, with an accent he didn't place. She asked for the men who helped my daughter when all doors closed. Ahmed froze. My daughter. Yes, Lena. She told us what you did. Silence carved out his life for a moment. Please, sir, she continued, I want to meet you. For gratitude. They scheduled a meeting in a small cafe, midday. Ahmed arrived in his worn clothes, nervous. He sipped tea, the cheapest, hands trembling. He looked up when she entered. She was dressed simply, yet there was a grace in her posture, a dignity in her eyes. She introduced herself as Mrs. Nadia Rahim. She looked him in the eye and then placed a thick envelope on the table. Open it, she said softly. Inside, papers. Bank transfers. Enough money to clear all his debts, secure an education fund for Sarah, and even a small savings account. Your kindness saved my daughter's life, she said quietly. I had no right to burden you. But you gave more than shelter, you gave hope. Tears stung Ahmed's eyes. He tried to speak, but words failed. He only nodded. She continued, we are rich, yes. Wealth doesn't make you compassionate. People like you make compassion real. If you accept, I want to give you and your daughter a chance for a good life. But Ahmed shook his head slowly. I just did what I believed was right. She smiled, a sad, gentle smile. That is why I must. In the weeks that followed, Ahmed's life changed. He rented a small house, better than the old apartment. Sarah got a proper school uniform, books, lunch every day. The ceiling fan hummed normally. They ate warm meals. More importantly, they slept without hunger, without fear. One morning, Sarah found a small, wrapped box on the dining table. Inside, a simple silver pendant. No card, no note, but she hugged her father, eyes wide. He realized then, sometimes kindness returns, not in words, but in small things, a warm home, a meal, a chance. Months passed. The memory of that rainy night never faded. Ahmed thought often of Lena, and of the choice he made. He realized morality wasn't about pride. It wasn't about expecting something back. It was about doing what your heart said, when everyone else turned away, and lately, he noticed something. His daughter's laughter came easier. Her drawings changed, from scribbles on scraps to bright watercolors on proper paper. She drew a bigger house, a garden, sunlight. He pinned one on their new wall, a house with blue windows, a tree beside it, a smiling girl in front. Under it he wrote, Hope. That's the power of one simple act, one night of compassion, when the rain washed away the cobblestones and the world seemed cold. That night, a father saw a stranger, but acted with humanity. He could not know where it would lead. But the outcome was more than gratitude. It was a new life. A chance. A second sunrise for a little girl who believed in tomorrow. And now, dear viewer, imagine, if you were in his shoes. What would you do? Would you turn away, safe in your comfort, or open the door, risking everything, because someone, just maybe, needs kindness, because sometimes, one simple act can change lives forever. If this story moved you, if you believe in hope, kindness, second chances, then your family here. Don't just watch, become part of this journey. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and join us. Because we tell stories that remind us what humanity means. And we're just getting started.